The town of Mount Pleasant has a new town council, and one of those people on council is iconic Howard Chapman. I speak exclusively with Councilman Chapman for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And if you want to listen to this interview, listen later on iHeartRadio. Howard Chapman, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, thank you very much, Quintin. It hadn't been that long.
Yes, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a tough race and a long day on election day.
A long day on election day. Who is Howard Chapman now versus election time?
Well, first of all, I want to thank all my supporters, my family, and my friends who voted for me. But I also want to be a council member for all of the residents of Mount Pleasant, whether they voted for me or not.
Right.
I want to be their council member, and I want to be a part of bringing civility and respect back to that council.
As a matter of fact, let me go over to some couple of issues that you all tackled really on the first night of town council. And this is the short-term rental. The Moochie News reports this: the council passed first reading of an ordinance to amend sections of the town's zoning code to modify all provisions related to bed and breakfast, short-term rental, and related terms to make them consistent with the town's short-term rental ordinance approved in August. Let me ask you this, Howard. What sections of this do you want to be amended?
Well, what they did, what the original council did, was they passed an ordinance back in the summer which required that all the short-term rentals pay the 6% tax. All of them had to have accommodations tax that they had to that the people stayed there had to pay, and there was a limit on the number that could actually be approved in the town of Mount Pleasant. And the idea when they passed the original ordinance was to see how things went after they passed it, and then do whatever tweaks were necessary to make sure that all of the issues were met, and that certainly that the cap was kept on, that no more short-term rentals than a certain number, and I can't tell exact, I think it's somewhere around 400, but I don't know. And that was the whole rationale for what we passed the other night, to get things finished. It was essentially get it finished after it had really been started, but to see how things went for a while, to let the town staff take a look at it,
Sure.
And then say, well, things look good, or we need to tweak it a little bit this way, and that's what we did. At the first council meeting, I was participating in.
And also, Michelle Cannon, the principal planner of the town of Mount Pleasant, explained that this would be updating the town's principal use table to replace the terms bed and breakfast with short-term rental, making it a conditional use. She said all of those conditions reference the short-term rental ordinance. Let me ask you this too. What would an ordinance like that look like under a conditional use?
Well, conditional use is a term of zoning. Okay. And to get a conditional use approved, you would have to go through the Board of Zoning Adjustments, and then there could be stipulations placed on that conditional use. So what this did was essentially clarified the short-term rental ordinance and the ability to do it without having to go through BOZA.
And speaking of which, zoning code, Jeff Almo, the town's planning director at this, also presented an ordinance to amend the zoning code of Mount Pleasant Code of Ordinances, which provide for the organization, definitions, power, and duties and procedures of the Old Village Historic District Commission. What would that commission look like in your mind?
Well, the Old Historic District Commission is a group of citizens who are appointed by the mayor and council. They oversee the ordinances, and in particular, those properties that could be considered old and historic, and issues as well. And in order to do that, at a point specific, you stopped any other property from being eligible to be old and historic, whether it's tomorrow or 20 years from tomorrow.
Sure.
And so the idea was with that ordinance to allow eventually that area to expand into properties that today might not be old and historic, but 20 years from now could. And it gave a rolling number of years that it had to be constructed and exist in existence in order to be considered old and historic in the town of Mount Pleasant.
In the town of Mount Pleasant. Let me ask you this. What is the age threshold right now?
I believe it's 50 years.
Okay.
And that being the case, it's a rolling date. It may be 75, to be honest with you, but there is a number specific. But tomorrow, having a rolling time period makes it more reasonable. It's much more reasonable.
And the Butcher News also writes this, that this would potentially allow for many additional structures within the old village to be considered for historical designation, that is. How many structures are being considered in 2020, said?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. And the town plan also says that there are recommendations in the town's draft comprehensive plan to consider more historic districts. Now, how many more historic districts do they want?
Well, the idea was that there are some historic areas that are outside the town limits today that could be considered historic districts, such as the Phillips community, such as Snap,
Sure.
such as the 6 Mile area.
Right.
These are historically black neighborhoods that some of which are not in the town. But because of the age of the properties, because of the age and the way the neighborhoods were developed, they could be considered historic. And the idea was to allow that to happen under our ordinance. They might not be in what the current old and historic district is, but that doesn't mean they're not historic. Doesn't mean they're not eligible, shouldn't be eligible for all of the tax breaks and all that they might be able to have. And certainly as the area, not the town, necessarily just town, but as the area of Mount Pleasant was founded, these properties were part of it. So there's no reason not to allow them to come in as a historic district.
And the council also discussed reducing existing building heights limits in the Boulevard Overlay District and the Waterfront Gateway District, that is. If it's passed to Planning Commission, Howard, when do you all hope to vote on that?
Well, there are certain things that need to be done with that suggestion. It goes to the town's planning commission first, then comes to the planning committee, and then council would vote on it. While I think that it may or may not be the right thing to do, I think it should go in as part of the comprehensive plan, which the town has to pass. And that comprehensive plan right now does not include that area other than in the 80-foot district. Whether we pass the lower height or not, I don't know. But to consider that separate from the comprehensive plan, and I made this statement on the floor of council, I think does disservice to the comprehensive plan. I think it should be discussed and included as part of the overall comprehensive plan. Right now, they're suggesting that the height designations are simply a table, not necessarily in a table in the zoning ordinance, not necessarily in the comprehensive plan. I think it needs to be considered as part of the comprehensive plan.
And Councilwoman G.M. Whitley explained this was discussed in the planning committee in hopes council would discuss a preliminary plan until the long-lasting comprehensive plan limits are adopted. What should be in that preliminary plan, that is, in your mind?
Well, first of all, the town had a group of citizens, together with the planning commission, and the planning staff, that developed the draft comprehensive plan. That draft comprehensive plan was given to council back in March of 2019. There is a requirement of law that we pass an updated comprehensive plan by the end of this year.
Sure.
And I think we need to really get started on it. That was a bone of contention by some of people who came to the forums, that, what's going to happen with the comprehensive plan? When's it going to be passed? Well, I volunteered to roll up my sleeves and get busy as soon as I got on council. I won't be the one probably to make that decision on when it gets to council, but I certainly am ready to get it there and discuss it and make whatever changes we need to do. Have it on the books.
On the books. And Whitley also was concerned in moving quickly since there are concurrent parcels of land for sale within an 80-foot building height limits. How many parcels of land are we talking?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know. I do know, again, that if it's urgent to do it, it's just as urgent to do the comprehensive plan and do them together.
Do it together.
So we'll see what happens.
And going forward, what can we expect from Howard Chapman as the new Mount Pleasant councilman?
Well, again, I want to be the council member for all of Mount Pleasant, not just necessarily the people who voted for me, but all of Mount Pleasant. I want to do what's right for the citizens of Mount Pleasant. And again, I want to bring back civility and respect. I want to work on transportation issues. That's what I'm educated in. That's what I've done all my life. I want to do that. I want to bring back some of the things that I did while I was on the planning commission, where, we worked with developers, but we also got agreements from developers to make improvements when they might necessarily have had to do that. I also want to do something to clean up Shem Creek. Okay. Shem Creek, we spent millions of dollars to bring people there, but it's polluted. And whatever we have to do, we need to clean up Shem Creek. And it won't happen overnight, but I think we can work as a council with the Waterworks Commission and do what's necessary. If that means lowering the cost of getting rid of and hooking up to, getting rid of septic tanks and hooking up to water and sewer in the town, then maybe there is a public good from reducing that cost initially for those people who might be polluting today because of their septic tanks leaking into Shem Creek. Whatever it takes, I'm willing to sit down with our council, with Waterworks, and come up with a plan. I'm sure we're going to have to work with DHEC as well to make it happen. But we need to start, and I pledge to do that.
And reducing the costs, how much would that save the taxpayers?
Well, in terms of the taxpayers, I'm sure there are going to be people who say, "Oh, well, it cost me this much to do it. Why are we lessening the cost?" Well, in the long run, if we don't clean up Shem Creek, then all the money that we've spent to attract people there, the business community that's there with the kayaks, with the paddle boats and paddle boards, those will cease to exist. They'll cease to exist because the people who are now renting them and recognizing how polluted Shem Creek is will just stop coming, which will shut down businesses that are tax-paying entities in the town. So I think that all has to work into it, and I know I've heard some of the other council members suggest they want to work on it. I know that Waterworks has already been trying to do some things, but we need to do more. We need to do more.
Councilman Howard Chapman, Thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Well, thank you for having me on, Quintin. I enjoyed the last time I was on. Might even help you get elected.
Who knows? Only God knows.
That's right.
But I'm here for the public.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for what you do
Oh, thank
for
you.
the entire Charleston metropolitan area, bringing issues to the forefront and having them talked about.
Sure. Yes, sir. That's why God has me here.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.